All right, 2 Kings chapter 13, verses 14 through 20. When you have it, say amen. If you don't have it, say Bible study, Wednesday night. All right, we go through the whole book. 2 Kings chapter 13, verses 14 through 20. And it reads, when Elisha was in his last illness, King Jehoash of Israel visited him and wept over him. My father, I see the chariots and charioteers of Israel, he cried. Elisha told him, get a bow and some arrows. And the king did as he was told. Elisha told him, put your hand on the bow, and Elisha laid his own hands on the king's hands. Then he commanded, open that eastern window, and he opened it. Then he said, shoot. So he shot an arrow, and Elisha proclaimed that this is the Lord's arrow, an arrow of victory over Aram, for you will completely conquer the Arameans at Aphek. And then he said, now pick up the other arrows and strike them against the ground. So the king picked up the arrows and struck the ground 3 times. But the man of God was angry with him. You should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times, he exclaimed. Then you would have beaten Aram until it was entirely destroyed. Now you will only be victorious 3 times. And verse 20 reads, then Elisha died and was buried. Groups of Moabite raiders used to invade the land each spring. Do me a favor as you take a seat, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I am not throwing away my shot. You may be seated. Look at somebody else as you sit down and say, neighbor, oh neighbor, I am not throwing away my shot. God bless you today. So anybody who knows me and knows me well knows that I am a huge nerd. My mama calls me a nerd all the time. I'm 30 years old. I ain't got to hide that now. I am a nerd, Unity Church family, and in my nerdiness, I am obsessed with Broadway musicals. All right, my brother-in-law got my back over there. I am obsessed with Broadway musicals, but out of them all, my favorite musical is called Hamilton. Has anybody heard of Hamilton in here? If you haven't heard of Hamilton, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but get to 2021. Hamilton, it changed the game for Broadway musicals out there. See, it's the story of one of America's founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton. If you don't know who he is, grab a $10 bill and look at it, and that's the man that's on the $10 bill, Alexander Hamilton. But the musical, it finds a unique way to tell his story through song. More specifically through hip hop and R&B. And one of my favorite songs that they sing in the whole musical is called My Shot. The lyrics simply state, I am not throwing away my shot. I am just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry. I'm not throwing away my shot. And what Hamilton means by this is that at any opportunity that he gets to better himself, to make a difference in the lives of those around him, he will not throw away his shot. And throughout the entire musical, when Hamilton has to contemplate a decision, you can hear the supporting cast whispering behind him, I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry. I am not throwing away my shot. And whenever Hamilton finishes contemplating his decision, he yells out, I am not throwing away my shot. Y'all gonna catch on to this in a little bit. He is simply portraying the message to take full advantage of any opportunity you get that's thrown at you. Look at somebody and say, I am not throwing away my shot. So listen, as we jump into our text, we find Elisha, the great prophet, and he is nearing the end of his life. And he is approached by King Joash of Israel. Now we know Elisha was a prophet whose faith, obedience, compassion, and courage were unlike any other. God used him as a conduit to help those in need to do amazing things in the lives of other people. And his story begins back in 1 Kings, and you can read that in your spare time. But God tells Elijah to anoint him as the prophet to replace him. So Elisha replaced Elijah. Any Bible scholars in the room today? You see, Elisha's story is one of my favorites in the Bible, and it stands out the most to me because he literally dropped everything and immediately said yes to God's calling through Elijah. He left everything behind. He didn't throw away his shot. But you see, us, the ones who say or think that we're going to do anything and everything to follow a calling, will hesitate. Y'all, we ask God to call us, and when he finally does, we got to make a list of the pros and cons, the good things and the bad things. We got to finish what we was doing. We got to play it safe, and then we may or may not accept the call. Unity Church family, that is throwing away your shot. You see, I believe Elisha wouldn't have lived the life he lived if he threw away his shot. He shows us that a step towards your destiny is a step away out of your comfort zone, a step away from your security blanket. But we really like comfort, don't we? We like to be in the same place, in the comfort of our own home, where we don't have to be stressed out. We got to just chill and be relaxed. But one thing that I've learned in my lifetime, that comfort does not produce maturity. You see, you got to step outside of your comfort zone. As the young people say, you got to shoot your shot. All right, start that business, apply for that job, go back to school, even retire. Whatever good move you feel uncomfortable about will change the whole outcome of your life. Look at somebody and say, I'm not throwing away my shot. Listen, Elisha, he performed many miracles throughout his lifetime, and people came to him in their time of need for his wisdom and counsel. And as we approach our highlighted text, this was the case for King Joash of Israel. You see, as Elisha was on his deathbed, Jehoash approached him, upset and crying over how depleted their army was in the midst of a war. You see, we learned earlier in this chapter that they only had 50 charioteers, 10 chariots, and 10,000 foot soldiers. Now, Jehoash, he wasn't really the best king, you know. In his 16-year reign, the Bible says that he did evil in the sight of the Lord. You see, he was a little selfish. He didn't really act much differently than the kings did before him. But in his time of need, he found himself seeking counsel from Elisha. You see, at some point in time, at some point in your life, in the midst of all your hooligan, there go my favorite word, hooligan behaviors, you will still find yourself in some kind of need for spiritual counsel and wisdom. Y'all didn't like this. I'm going to leave that right there. So as Jehoash is crying to Elisha, he gives him a set of instructions to follow as he speaks over him. And I'm almost through, Unity Church family. You know, as you prepare to shoot your shot, there are a couple of actions you have to perform. Am I right? Anybody here shot a gun before? There's a couple of things you got to do before you shoot a gun. When you're ready to take a shot, people typically say, ready, aim, and what else? Fire, right? Ready, aim, and fire. These are all actions you got to take in order to shoot your shot and make it count. A basketball player, he just doesn't just throw up the ball anywhere. He sees the goal, he gets into shooting position, and then what does he do? He shoots. You can't just throw the ball into the audience or shoot without having a target to hit. You have to ready yourself. You have to aim. And then you have to fire. And so Elisha, he tells Jehoash to go get a bow and some arrows. He told him to get ready. Here's a fact. You cannot shoot your shot if you ain't ready for it. Can I say that again, Unity Church family? You cannot shoot your shot if you ain't ready for it. Listen, you have to be prepped first. Sister Dean just can't wake up tomorrow morning and say, I'm finna open up a restaurant today. She ain't got no building, no staff members, no kitchen supplies, nothing. She just can't wake up and say, I'm finna open up a restaurant. You shooting your shot, but baby girl, you finna miss terribly. You have to be prepared. You have to ready yourself to shoot your shot. Shooting your shot takes preparation. So this is what Jehoash did. He grabbed the bow and the arrow. Then the Bible says Elisha told him to put his hands on the bow. And Jehoash did just that. Now watch this though. After Jehoash puts his hands on the bow, Elisha puts his hands over his hands. Man, y'all missed that. I'm going to say it again. Elisha told him to put his hand on the bow. And after he does this, Elisha puts his hands over his hands. Oh, Jesus. Sister Kenya, they still missing it. Listen, why do we feel like we have to take our shots on our own? The king had all the king had to do was have faith, be obedient, follow some simple instructions, and Elisha gave him the assurance that he wasn't alone. The Bible says he put his hands over the king's hands as he prepared to take his shot. Listen, we are not walking through this thing alone. He says God won't send you into a battle that he hasn't prepared you for. He won't send you into a battle all by yourself. He won't let you take his shot without your guidance. But the question is, will you have enough faith to let him guide you? The king, he had so much faith. I was been asking so many questions. Go get a bow and arrow. For what? Get the bow ready. For what? The windows is closed. Ain't nobody outside. What am I getting a bow and arrow for? What you got your hands over my hands for? I don't need help shooting no bow and arrow. That's what we do, right? We got to question every single thing, every little instruction, every little detail that we get. Boy, we some ignorant folks, ain't we? Lord have mercy. We say it all the time, right? I'm making faith moves. I'm making faith moves. But are you, though? Are you really, though? If you question it, it's not a faith move. I'm going to make this faith move, but why I got to put my hands on the bow and arrow? Look at somebody and say, I'm not throwing away my shot. If all it takes is for me to put my hands on a bow and arrow and let somebody else guide me to shoot my arrow, I am not throwing away my shot. So after Elisha, he places his hands on Jehoash's hands, and then he tells him to open the east window, and he opens it. And then he says, shoot. Simple instructions. Get the bow and arrow. Ready the bow and arrow. He places his hands over his hands. Open the window. Now, shoot. So as you are getting ready to take your shot, as you are taking your aim, lining up the shot, there are so many different emotions that you can go through. The questions start to arise. I told y'all we got to question everything, right? What if I miss? What if I don't make it? What if I hit somebody I ain't supposed to hit? What if I don't put enough strength behind it? What if this happens? What if that happens? The pressure starts to build. You see, we as humans, we have the natural ability to put ourselves under some unnecessary pressure. Am I right? We overthink things. We stress ourselves out. We think of the worst case scenario first. We don't think of the positive outcome. We got to think the worst first. And then we start to carry this unnecessary weight on our shoulders. And that load gets heavy. We carry the load of our emotions. We carry the load of fear. We carry the load of anxiety. We carry the load of fear of failure, the load of depression, the load of other people's feelings. And the pressure starts to distract us, causing us to throw away our shots. But family, all I came to stop by to tell you today is that pressure is just an illusion. Well, what do you mean, Minister Jazz? That pressure is an object that's appearing real, meant to distract you from reality. You see, pressure is an illusion. Pressure is the tension between who you are now and who you are becoming. Pressure is that pull you feel when you pull the bow back to line up your arrow for the shot. Pressure, everybody say pressure. Pressure comes when I try to do by force what God has called me to do by faith. See, we have to allow our faith to overcome the pressure. We all have a true hunger to be great, a true hunger to accomplish all of our dreams and all the goals and the plans that God has for us. So don't allow that pressure that comes with it to make you miss your shot. We want everything, but we don't want the pressure that comes with it. We build up unnecessary pressure, not a pressure to be great, but a pressure just to fail. It's all about changing your mind to a different mindset, a positive thinking. I'm not finna fail. If I miss my shot, I'm just finna take another one. It's not rocket science, Unity Church family. If you miss your shot, take another one. I'm getting too far into my message. Listen, ready. Pick up your bow, aim, pull it back, and line up your shot. Now, what you got to do? Shoot. Shoot. Fire. Ready, aim, and fire. So as I head to my close, at the high and at the end of this encounter, Elisha tells Jehoash to shoot. And he shoots the arrow. And after this, he proclaimed, "This is the Lord's arrow, an arrow of victory over the Syrians. For you will completely conquer them." The Syrians or Arameans had made themselves the conquerors of the land to the east. That's why he opened the east window and shot the arrow east. So Elisha and Jehoshaphat shooting the arrow eastward signified that they would claim victory over them. And then he tells him to pick up the other arrows and strike them on the ground. And so the king, he picks up the arrow and he only strikes the ground 3 times. But Elisha, he got a little angry with him after this. It says, "You should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times. Then you would have beaten Aram until it was entirely destroyed. Now you will only be victorious 3 times." Listen, the significance of Jehoash striking the arrows on the ground was supposed to set him up for a future victory. He was supposed to take more than 1 shot. Listen, the ultimate measure of faith. He only struck the ground 3 times. And so Elisha told him that you were only going to be victorious 3 more times after this because of your lack of faith. He said, "Don't you think you should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times so you can claim total victory?" Listen, think about this. After you have been blessed with a future victory, don't you think you would have went crazier than that? Don't you think you would have hit the arrows on the ground 5, 6, 7, 150 more thousand times just to claim total victory of the enemy that you're facing? Whew. I hate to break it to y'all, but y'all the same way. Listen, we take 1 shot and we through, We got more shots to take, Unity Church family, and I'm done. More opportunities, more battles. We have way more to do. And I want an overwhelming victory over my opponent in whatever I do. We serve a big God who can hand out even bigger blessings. We have a bad habit of asking God for the little things, the small things, the snacks, some quick satisfaction, those quick fixes that will only give you satisfaction for a moment. Praise team sung a song earlier. My God is big, so strong, so mighty. And you ain't got no business singing that song if you're only looking for quick fixes from God. No business at all. My God is big, strong, and mighty. But God, can you just meet this one need right now for this one time? And I promise I ain't going to get into it no more. We ask God for the little things, right? God, please help me pay my car note this month. Well, what you going to do next month? God, please help me feed my kids tonight. Well, what you going to do tomorrow night? God, please pay my rent on this house, my dream house, so I won't lose it. Well, what you going to do the next month? We ask for the small things from God. The small things. God, please help me get one customer for my business today. Well, what you going to do tomorrow? You need more than one customer to keep your business afloat. We ask God for the little things. Ask big from God. Look at somebody and say, big. Y'all ain't believing that. Look at somebody else and say, big. Ask big from God. God, don't just help me pay my car note this month. God, provide so I can pay off my car. God, don't help me pay my rent this month. Provide so I can pay this house off. God, don't just help me feed my kids tonight. Fill the refrigerator. Fill the pantry. Fill the deep freezer. Lord, give me so much I got to feed the whole neighborhood because I got way too much food for my family. Ask big from God. Somebody say big. Listen, don't just hit your arrow on the ground 3 times. That's just 3 victories. You shot the arrow out the window, you hit it 3 times. I'm finna be victorious. No, you're not. Just 3 times. We want overwhelming victory. We want lifetime victory. Victory forever and ever and ever. So ask big from God. I'm done, but I want you to think about it this way. How many shots would you take if you knew one would change everything for you? How many shots would you take if you knew for a fact that one can change your life forever? Making one will put you on the path to purpose, on the road to your destiny. So wouldn't you do whatever it takes not to throw away your shot? My favorite thing, I studied Alexander Hamilton in school. I had to write a paper over him, and he didn't throw away his shot. He was an immigrant, came to this country, family died, he was an orphan. And every opportunity he got, he seized it. Took advantage of every single little opportunity he had. And now they call him the $10 founding father. On the $10 bill. He went from nothing to being on the $10 bill. Now everybody knows his name. All because he didn't throw away his shot. So what would you do? How many shots would you take if you know just making one can send you on a different direction? Shoot, you got to ready yourself. You got to aim, then you got to fire. You can't just take one shot and be like, oh, I think I got him. I think I made him. I think I got him down. No, shoot another one and another one and another one. Ask big from God. Ask big from God. Whatever it is, ask big. Get away from that small thinking. Ask big. Ask big. As I head to my seat, I want to talk a little bit about one of the greatest basketball players of all times, Mr. Kobe Bryant. I read a stat on him the other day, and the first thing I read is that early in his basketball career, he wouldn't leave practice until he made 800 shots. He wouldn't leave practice until he made 800 shots. It didn't matter how many chances it took. He wouldn't give up until he made 800. That's a lot of shots, y'all. Like 800 shots. If it took 2,000, then he took 2,000. If it took 5, he took 5. If it took just 800, he made all 800 shots. And he did this after every single practice. And the second thing I learned, that even in his NBA career, Kobe, he attempted 26,200 shots in his career. 26,200 shots in his career. He missed, get this, he missed 14,481 of these shots. He missed 14,000, over half of all the shots that he took, he missed. Kobe only made 11,719 shots in his career. He has the most missed shots in NBA history. The most missed shots in NBA history. But he is one of the greatest ever to play the game. 5 championships, 1 MVP, 2 finals MVPs, 18-time All-Star, and 2 Olympic gold medals. And an Oscar. And he was voted into the Hall of Fame. And you know the difference between his success and your pending success is that he kept taking shots. No matter how many shots that he missed, he kept taking shots. He didn't throw away his shot. Here's another fact for you. You miss 100% of all the shots that you don't take. A couple of y'all missed that. I'm going to say it again. You will miss 100% of all the shots you don't take. So what does it mean to not throw away your shot? Take your shot. That's what it means. Take your shot. Take advantage of the opportunity. But what if I miss? Take another one. What if I miss again? Take another one. It took Kobe Bryant, 14,481 shots to get it right 11,000 times at a time. So take your shot. Don't throw away your shot. I literally sing that song from Hamilton every single day I'm faced with a decision. At work, I got to make a decision for a patient. I will not throw away my shot. Pastor says, Sister Jazz, you got to do Bible study this Wednesday. I will not throw away my shot. Sister Jazz, you got to preach on Sunday. I will not throw away my shot. You got to accept a job 2 hours away from home. I will not throw away my shot. You want to start a business because you know it's going to change the lives of the people around you. I will not throw away my shot. You got to step out on faith and change a career. I will not throw away my shot. Don't throw away your shot, Unity Church family. Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. If it take 26,000 shots, shoot your shot. But make sure you get yourself ready. You take aim. And what else you got to do? Fire. Shoot your shot. The young people say shoot. It's a dance as well. Shoot your shot, Unity Church family. If you don't remember anything else from this sermon, remember this. You will miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Put your hands together for Jesus on this morning.
Listen, I want everybody to keep the faith, keep holding on, keep looking to giving God the praise, the glory, and the honor. And I can't wait till we're able to worship again. God bless you. God keep you. We'll see you next time.